Hello and welcome back to the Lazy Entrepreneur podcast. I'm Sam Priestley, and once again we got a special co-host on.
I'm back.
He's back, it's Ben Larcombe again, my business partner, and we're here today to talk about financial freedom, and should financial freedom be your ultimate end goal? I'm actually been really looking forward to this one, because it's something I think about quite a lot, and I'm sure Ben does as well, but I don't think we've ever actually really talked about it.
Have you written anything about financial freedom? Because it's kind of like it goes underneath, in between the lines of a lot of stuff that you talk about, but...
It does, yeah. I have written a couple of blog posts, especially early on. So I wrote I've written quite a lot about my investing strategies, and a lot of them then link back to an original blog post about financial freedom and about early retirement. Before we kind of start talking about that, Ben, what is your definition of financial independence and financial freedom?
Well, I did want to ask you, are they meant to be the same thing, or are they different things?
Well, I'm not entirely
What's
sure.
What's the term that we're using?
Let's go financial independence.
Okay, financial independence.
Because there is this FIRE movement. Have you heard about this? Financially independent, retired early.
Okay.
Which is kind of the online name for this kind of group of thinking.
The Mr. Money Moustache Brigade.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Money Moustache is another blogger who posts a lot about financial independence and retiring early.
What is my definition of financial independence? I mean, the independence bit makes me think you're no longer reliant on a job or a active business. So financially, you could stay in bed for the rest of your life and the money would still be coming in. So you're not forced to have to go to work or do a business or anything else like that, because you've saved up enough money that it's just ticking over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why, I don't know, is there an official definition of financial independence?
I don't know if there's an official definition, but I did an interview on Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's probably about a year ago now, coming up to a year ago.
You should have made a big deal out of that.
I should have done. That was quite a big win for me, wasn't it? And in that, I kind of outline 5 different types of financial freedom, or 4.
Did you go for freedom then?
I don't think I called it that.
Okay.
I think I kind of explained, my thoughts about certain things, and then they wrote it up as an article delineated by these different stuff.
Okay.
So let me talk about the different ones. So the first one I put was when you're earning enough to not need to get a job, but you could still be working quite hard. So you're kind of doing your own thing. You're independent. That could be you're working on your table tennis business or whatever, and it's earning some money. In that ways, you've got financial independence. You don't need to be going and working for someone else for a job.
Oh, because you are making your own money.
Because you are making your own money.
Okay, yeah.
Step 2, I put where you are earning most of it from kind of passive businesses. So businesses you still need to work on, but that aren't time for money. So you don't need to work really, really hard for it.
So you've done the hard work and now the business is ticking over, but you still need to overall manage it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Step 3 was I put it doesn't rely on active income anymore. I'm getting mixed up between active and passive, but what I mean by that is that your savings and investments that are completely passive, you never need to touch, there's no managing, are earning you enough money to get by.
Which is what I was saying about staying in bed all day.
Which is what you were saying about staying in bed all day.
Like there's zero active work you would have to do because whatever stock market or bonds give you enough income just to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so our table tennis business is pretty passive. We don't spend much time on it, the table tennis bats, and that earns me enough money to live off. But if I didn't touch it ever again, it would quickly disappear.
Yeah, so that's the stage 2, not stage 3.
That's stage 2, not stage 3. And then stage 4 is I put you have enough money to not just live how you are, but also to put money into stuff you want to, into stuff you love. So that could be investing in your hobbies or helping out family.
Okay, so that's but just a richer financially free person.
That's a richer financially free person.
Okay, so you just got more money earning you passive income.
So step 3, I'd say you got free time. You got all time you want. Your time free. So if I wanted to start another business, I would probably, at step 3, I would not want to spend too much money on it. If I wanted to start a hobby, I'd do a hobby where I could spend a lot of time, but I wouldn't take up skydiving or something like that. That was just quite expensive.
So you don't need to work, but you have to live a relatively frugal lifestyle.
Exactly.
Step 4, frugality is thrown out the window.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. So what's step 5?
There wasn't step 5.
Oh, right.
I thought there was 5, but I just had a look and there was only 4.
What possibly could there be after
What is there after that?
Okay.
But that's just something I made up and how I kind of think about things. Because there was a time where I thought you need to be earning enough from stocks and shares. That was like the goal. But then once I started earning money from these more passive businesses that I still slightly managed, my opinion on that kind of changed.
Okay.
I thought, because there was a time in 2014 where I made a decision to quit a business, gambling stuff, that was making me a lot of money. Whereas if I'd just been going for financial independence, I would have kept doing that to the point where I had enough in savings and stocks and shares and stuff like that. But I quit it because I had other businesses that were making me enough, which were more interesting, a bit more passive. And I had some investments.
Yeah, because the whole retire early thing, you could be working a 14-hour-a-day city job.
Yeah.
Just with the long-term vision that I'm only going to do this for 10 years, then I will have saved up this amount.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you're chilling around starting businesses. You might be slogging away at this horrible job, but just you're doing it for a purpose of getting X amount of money so that you can retire.
And it comes down to what is the goal of retirement.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I thought about, what would I do if I retired? Well, what did I do in 2015? I went travelling full time.
Yeah.
I started working on my blog and a few businesses that I was interested in, and sort of self-improvement stuff. Started doing a lot more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that.
And this is very Tim Ferriss-y 4-hour work week.
Yeah, very much so.
The new rich.
Yeah.
You might not be rich in the sense that you've got 10 million in the bank,
Yeah.
but you're rich the fact that you can be dossing around South America doing jiu-jitsu when everyone else is slogging away on a tube. And
So instead of working really hard for another 3 or 4 years or 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, to get to that step 3, I kind of quit at step 2.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me on to, is early retirement all it's cracked up to be?
Well, I guess we wouldn't know, would we?
Well, we wouldn't know, but doing the travelling, one of the reasons we stopped travelling, so we travelled for about 1.5 years, and one of the reasons that we stopped was that I started to feel a bit uncomfortable with living like a hedonistic life and not building much and not actually being a productive member of the community.
Yeah. Because we were going to go travelling, me and my wife, and someone from church, like after we told them, randomly said, have you thought about how you're going to serve God in your year of travelling? And it really like rubbed me up the wrong way, because I was like, no, I'm just going to just let me go, I'm young, just let me go travelling and enjoy myself.
Around for a bit,
But then after I let it sink in, I did start to think this is I have literally given no thought to anything but I want to go travelling. Who cares about anything else? I'll just do what I want, because that is the mindset of a lot of that niche area, isn't it? It's like, if you want to go and be on a beach, go be on a beach.
Go live the dream,
Yeah. And yet there's so much stuff now that says about how happiness and fulfillment doesn't come from trying to do everything you want to do, because you very quickly get bored of that and then you're left with nothing.
Yeah. I actually wrote a blog post kind of on this sort of stuff, not that, a few years ago actually, it's quite a long time ago, where it was called, Can You Buy, Pray, Sleep Your Way to Happiness? I looked at kind of a lot of different...
Can you what?
Buy, pray, or sleep your way to happiness.
Okay.
So I looked at a bunch of different things, like the correlation on how much sleep you're having to well-being.
Yeah.
One of the things I looked at was how age is impacted by happiness. So kind of your happiness increases till you're about 20.
You mean happiness is impacted by your age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it decreases consistently till about 50, 51. And then it starts increasing again, and it increases until the point you die. And over 75 were the people with the highest level of well-being.
That's not what you would expect.
That's not what so that to me says that work is rubbish. everyone, everyone working is... And then at 51, you're either starting to retire or you've got that retirement age in sight. But then I also started looking into how it affects your life expectancy, retiring early. Because I have this kind of concept that working is good for you, and that if you retire and then start dossing around and do nothing, that's really not very good for your health.
At least doing something is good for you.
Doing something is good for you.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really I found a bunch of studies all saying completely different things. My conclusion was it kind of depends more on the career you're doing, because there are certain careers that aren't good for your life expectancy.
Just really stressful.
Either really stressful or like physically bad for you.
Yeah.
Like where you're doing a lot of physical labour or in dangerous environments.
Yeah. So I coach table tennis to a guy who's like mid-70s, very wealthy, has been very successful. And one day I was like asking him, why do you keep working so hard now? Like mid-70s, still gets up early, goes into work, like works all morning really hard, got all these things he's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point? Like when you're already so, like he is obviously financially free. Why does he bother doing it? And he just said like, well, what else am I going to do? Sit around and do nothing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and you think, well, yeah, like you don't want to do that, do you? So
yeah.
Yeah, that does seem to be the goal of like so many young people in our thing is like, let's work really hard, whether it's like in the city or starting some crazy business. And then by the time I get to 40, I can retire and I'll have all the money I need.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then you get there and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Like, I've got no reason for being alive, really.
Yeah.
I'm just consuming stuff.
I think that was kind of my realisation that the life that I would live if I was retired is the life I live currently.
Yeah.
That I don't think there's much I would change. And then when I was thinking about it, the stuff I would change is what I changed, which was quitting that business that I didn't really enjoy.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting though, because I think about my grandparents who retired and then kind of never left their living room again.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember a time when one set of my grandparents weren't retired, because they took early retirement in like mid-50s. They've been retired for like 25 plus years. So
that's their life.
Yeah, like as far as I'm concerned,
all they can remember.
They've never done anything but just potter around.
Yeah.
But your tagline actually is pottering around starting businesses.
So
you're still pottering around, but you're just doing something at the same time.
Being a bit more like active about it.
Active pottering.
Active pottering. It was a bit like the podcast we recorded last time about turning your business into a hobby, where you're saying there's a big difference between an active hobby where you're engaging your brain in it and a passive one where you're just kind of mogging out and consuming.
Watching Loose Women.
Watching Loose Women, yeah.
Which is a TV show for those that don't know. A daytime TV show.
Is that something you've been watching recently?
No, but I used to watch it a lot when I was at Table Tennis Academy. Bit of lunchtime.
I think there's also something about contribution to society, right? That even if you're doing a job that doesn't really add much by the job itself, the money you're earning is then you're paying taxes on it, and then the money you're spending is having VAT on it, and it's going back into the system and circulating around.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just accumulated as much as possible, then that money is then sitting there not contributing anyone.
Yeah.
Or if I'm buying property, it just raises the price of property for everyone.
Yeah,
it doesn't change the amount of
property. Making life worse for everyone else.
It's making life worse for everyone else, yeah.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, where if the end goal is to become this self-sufficient, living off unearned income type person, like that's great for the odd man, but you can't have the whole of society living off unearned income, because the world can't function like that.
Yeah.
So you've set as like the highest goal. The person who we think is like most successful is the person who's actually just like a parasite off everyone else.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Got all their wealth hoarded somewhere where, because it's a churn, isn't it? That's what's good for society. The money going in and out, the turnover.
Yeah.
But then I suppose there are people like that 75-year-old person you coach.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone's going to do it, because obviously there's people who don't want it, because there's people who've shot right past early retirement and are still working.
Yeah.
Like any kind of multi-millionaire or billionaire could have retired and lived a very comfortable life and chose not to.
I guess that the financially independent and the retire early are two different things that you don't have to subscribe to both, do you?
Yeah.
So
that's
he's
true.
financially independent in the sense that he has no stress about money, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that he wants to retire. So maybe some people have the goal of being financially independent. Other people have the goal of retiring early, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of financial independence. First of all, how much money do you need?
Well, what does Mr. Money Moustache say? He's got his little formula, hasn't he?
He's got a little formula. He says you need about 25 times your yearly expenses stored in stocks and shares, basically.
Because he thinks that you'll get a 4% return or something.
Now, he thinks
No.
you'll get a 7% return, of which 3% will be inflation. So you can withdraw safely 4% a year.
4% real return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that will last you forever.
Yeah. Which may or may not be true.
Yeah, because the stock market could halve, could go to zero.
Yeah.
There's loads of things that could happen. But
Yeah,
that's
so
the target he suggests.
You probably end up always slightly worried that you haven't got enough.
Yeah.
So like you keep looking at your bank balance like, oh, I finally got £1 million. And then you have like a party for about 10 seconds. And then you think, but is £1 million going to be enough? Or do I need £2 million to be completely sure?
I was reading a blog post from someone. It was his yearly report for the end of... So I read the end of 2018. Then I
Yeah.
read the end of 2017. End of 2017 he goes, oh, and Bitcoin have done so well that I've now reached my financial independence.
Yay!
So I'm going to throw a party. I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with my money. You read 2018. He's like, and so Bitcoin has lost all its value.
Wait, so did he keep all his money in Bitcoin? Because that's not giving you a return. That's pure speculation.
Yeah. So he hit his target and then lost it again.
Yeah. So don't put all your money in Bitcoin.
So Mr. Money Moustache really pushes the frugal living side.
Yeah.
There's two ways to save more money, aren't there? You can earn more,
Yeah.
or you can spend less.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that if you work a normal job, or say a city job, like a middle class job, you can, by living not like a middle class person, basically,
Yeah.
save a lot of money and retire early.
Yeah.
So I think he retired at, 31, and him and his wife...
And that was through just working jobs.
That was through just working
Yeah.
jobs. I think they were both on good salaries, but not huge salaries.
Yeah. And saving like over half their income or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something like if you save 75% of your income, you can retire in 8 years or something like that. So what about you? Is financial independence a goal?
I don't think it's like an obviously stated goal. I mean, for most people our age, like getting a house is the goal, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a whole nother subject.
Because but that's such a big purchase that once you've got one, it kind of feels like you're a bit more financially independent. But I don't know, really.
Do you have financial goals?
Do I have financial goals? I feel like my financial goals are just to make enough money each year to pay us the salary that I want to pay us.
A lot of people think they need to balance their income and expenses.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't do that.
No. And I think there's something about being self-employed and running your own businesses that means you don't think like that, because you don't have a set amount coming in each month
Yeah.
that you can rely on. It changes every month.
Yeah.
So you always want a little threshold above what you're spending. And so I have pretty much forever really just lived the life that I want to live in terms of expenses, and then just treated the income side of it completely separate.
Yeah.
And I've had, most of the time, I've had more income than expenses, but I've definitely had times when, especially actually, when was it? 2 years ago, I had a year where I spent more than I came in. Had an expensive wedding, gave quite a lot of money to charity.
Yeah, so, but I mean, we're both saving money, so to an extent we are working towards something, aren't we? It's not like we spend everything we earn.
There's a reason why I'm putting a large amount of money. I'm filling up my ISA, I'm investing it in my Vanguard Life Strategy 80% accumulation fund every year, because that is one goal, but it's not the primary goal. You know, I want to do good, I want to give to charity, but giving to charity is the opposite of saving for financial independence.
Yeah.
So how do I balance those two desires in my
And
life?
especially if you're going for like the frugal living, save everything you can method.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how giving to charity could really be justified as part of that. It doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
Unless you're like really committed to giving to charity, but then that would have to supersede your
financial independence goal.
frugal financial independence thinking.
And there probably is a side to it where you're thinking, well, if I get to financial independence as soon as possible, then I can quit my job, then I could spend all my time helping people, whatever it might be.
Yeah. And I think you do see people that do that work hard to get to a position where they're then able to use all their time serving the church or, working on some project that's going to help the community or something.
Yeah. I think it's all about balancing your goals and the lifestyle you want. But I think that retirement for retirement's sake shouldn't be a goal.
I'm quite happy with the financial independence idea. I'm less happy with the early retirement concept.
Having a nice big buffer of cash in case you get really ill or something is that's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah.
But retiring and moving to a beach and doing nothing, I don't think it's particularly good for your mental health, really, to live that sort of life. There is something about work and being productive. Now, it might be that you're working a job where you're not getting any of that. I get to choose what I do for a living. I get to choose what my job is. So I can choose stuff that are linked to my hobbies and linked to my interests. Whereas if you're working in a company that you think isn't doing good for the world, or where you're just spending all day not really doing anything productive, dealing with bureaucracy and office politics, then maybe that is a really good goal, that you should want to be able to get to a level of financial independence where you can quit that job and go do something more productive, more interesting.
What do people recommend you should invest in?
Well, they recommend a world tracker fund.
Okay.
Like a really cheap expense ratio world tracker fund.
But the way that the stock market is these days, they're all linked anyway, so it seems like...
Yeah, if you're in the FTSE 100, you're kind of in global, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by saying, well, actually, I'm diversified over the whole world,
yeah.
or when one crashes, they all crash, and
Yeah.
when one goes up, they all go up to an extent. So you can tell yourself you're really diversified, but you're not. Actually, it's like a false diversification.
Yeah, and they're all the big companies.
Yeah.
You're not invested into smaller businesses.
No.
And then they say that as you get closer to the age you want to retire, you should start shifting a percent of that into bonds.
Right.
Into more stable income.
Okay. Well, you don't get much return on bonds at the moment, do you?
You get like, 1% or something. Oh, what do you invest in? What do you do with your savings?
I mean, I'm a bit out of the box with investing thinking, aren't I?
Just leave it in a bank account. Cash under the bed.
I mean, I like to have a fair amount of...
Disposable.
Say something happens, I want to have money that I can do something with.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have loads of money. It means a fair amount of that needs to be ready to go.
I wrote a blog post not that long ago called Investing in the Light of Brexit. I was basically saying I'm putting a large amount of my money, instead of into traditional investments like this, into places I can get access to it really quickly. So like peer-to-peer lending with kind of a 30-day access.
Yeah.
Because I think that I can get a better return by spotting opportunities and building a business around it, or finding arbitrage opportunities.
Yeah.
Especially with something like Brexit, where there's going to be a lot of turmoil and a lot of opportunity, than I would by just sitting in the FTSE 100, and which seems to be quite overpriced, and who knows what's going to happen. A lot of people are predicting a financial crash.
I don't know. Seems like if the whole end goal is like living off investment income, maybe you should spend a bit of time trying to learn more about investing rather than just sticking it all in a tracker.
I don't know, what do most people invest their money in? Houses, that's what people think is a good investment.
Middle class people, yeah.
Yeah, when I tell people, what do I spend my money on? And I say I put it in the stock market, they're always a bit like, oh, that's a bit gambling, isn't it? And they think that if they have spare income, they'd want to buy a buy-to-let house and rent it out.
Yeah, although I think probably less so now. Or at least people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The prices are so expensive,
Yeah.
and the tax way that they've set things up for buy-to-let isn't any good anymore.
Yeah, but people see them really expensive, and that they weren't that expensive that long ago, and think that makes it a good investment.
Yeah, which would be what I'm saying about maybe if you're gonna gamble your whole life on investing, maybe you should learn something about investing
Yeah,
instead of just
definitely.
going on this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's also something we haven't spoken about, which is that if you're working in a normal job, you get a pension, whereas we don't have that, being self-employed.
Yeah, and that goes to, because I was going to mention this earlier. I think in a accumulating money sort of way. I think more in a creating income way. So some people will say oh, you've not got like an official pension. What are you going to do when you're 60? But I feel like as long as I keep starting businesses that are creating income that's relatively passive, then by the time I'm that age, I should just have money coming in from things.
Yeah.
So you'd still be getting an income as if you were working anyway.
And do you ever see yourself retiring is the thing?
No, probably not.
No.
Not like
me either, yeah.
way.
Because I'm already doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And what I want to be doing might change, but I'm sure it'll still be creating stuff and building income sources. Well, so back to the original question. Is financial freedom or financial independence the ultimate end goal?
I wouldn't say it should be the ultimate end goal.
No.
And I would definitely say retiring early shouldn't be the ultimate end goal.
Yes.
I think that's the more dangerous idea.
Yeah.
I think people do need some sort of big long-term goal to be aiming towards.
Yeah. You should have financial goals.
Yeah.
And that might not be to earn as much money as possible in a short period of time, because you might have other goals. But you should have some sort of goal and some sort of strategy behind it, especially because you want to have redundancies in place. If I became really ill and I wasn't able to earn money for myself, I want at least some sort of runway.
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't know what's going to happen. And part of the thinking behind financial independence is I'm completely in control of everything.
Yeah.
It's I've set everything up so that at this age I'll have this amount of money.
Yeah.
And I know everything that's going to happen, and the stock market's going to make this amount each year, and it's this lining everything up in your head where you think that it's all going to work out. Yeah, it never does, because that's not how the world works. So
Yeah.
you don't want to get too much into that way of thinking, because then when something bad happens, you're completely destroyed by, this is messing up my plans.
Yeah.
But the world doesn't work on your plans. So.
And there's probably something about living in a mindset where, like you were talking about earlier, where you're focused on trying to create things and create new income streams.
Yeah.
If something really bad happened and you lost everything and had to start again, you could do that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you spent your whole life with this grand plan and then suddenly something happens, because people do lose all their money through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Yeah, nothing is.
Nothing is certain.
No.
All right, well, on that morbid note, let's end the episode. Thanks again, Ben. Thanks for coming on. I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
And goodbye.